Okay, so hello and welcome back to Gumadees Coins and Banknotes, and today we have the second issue of Japanese coinage. So in front of me we have the first issue, but we're minus 2 coins. We have the 1 Ren, which is the smallest coins, probably roughly about that size, size of a Rhodesian footprints. And we have the giant 1 yen coin. I don't have a coin on the table that can be compared in size, but I would say it's quite bigger than this half crown, which is similar to the 50 cent, but that's actually quite a large coin. It's 38 millimeters, the size of close to the size of a UK crown or a 5 Byoki of the Papal States. So the rest of the coins, the bronze coins, they stopped minting these in 1892. Now I've not found a reason why they stopped minting them, but based on the mintage figures, there was substantial mintage beforehand, so probably the market was saturated. They didn't need any more coins. But in that case, the bronze coins changed. They removed the actual dragon off the coins because the first Sino-Japanese War of 1895 pitted the Japanese people against the Chinese, so it was unfavorable. And this dragon is taken from China. It's the Chinese dragon. Japan adopted quite a lot of technology and knowledge in the past. As you can see, the writing system is Chinese, and they did have their own script, but even now in Japanese coinage they just use the Chinese writing system, so they don't have any katakana on it, which is a bit sad. So basically that's the last time we see these. And the 2 sen is actually quite a large coin, pretty impractical, and because inflation of Japan at the time, they did have quite a few revolts from the remaining samurai, and they drained the actual coffers of the government. So a lot of the silver coin would have probably been melted down and used to pay for the war effort, because they had to buy arms. At this time they weren't as self-sufficient in their arms market, so guns and that had to be brought from overseas. Now the 5 cent was already a copper and nickel coin. The last substantial mintage that I've seen is 1877, so by 1892 a lot of that had probably disappeared, and they did issue this coin here, which is actually quite a nice coin. It's one of my favourite Japanese coins, but there are a lot of counterfeits that were produced at the time period. So these ones had seen a lot of fakes, and 5 cent, you might think that's not really that much money, but for a lot of people it was at the time period. And the silver coin we had in circulation is the 10, 20 and the 50 cent. But so there is an interesting report from 1904 from Around the World Through Japan. The English is a bit stuffed, and we go to page 135, and it's at this part here. So so if you read this, the circulating medium in Japan since the demonetization of silver yen. So in 1904 silver yen was no longer used, and the adoption of the gold standard in 1897. So Japan did try the gold standard in 1871, but because of the revolts they had to go off it, because they had pretty much made the country nearly bankrupt. And then they did issue banknotes and redeemable in gold for 1 yen and its multipliers. Subsidiary silver coins of 50, 20, 10 5 sen, copper nickel 5 sen piece, bronze coins of 1 sen, 5 ren, although that was called half a sen back then on the coins, and 1 ren. There was no gold sen in circulation, so Japan did issue at the time 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 yen gold coins, but they were used mostly for international trade, and because Japan was importing a lot of products from overseas, especially for the military, a lot of that gold would have been flowing out, and also they would have, for a time period, had to import a lot of goods for modern lifestyle until they can actually develop their industry. Also, a lot of the industrial products would have had to be brought overseas until their engineers were able to successfully replicate that technology. Currently, what China is doing now, they're replicating Western technology, and they are pretty much self-sufficient almost, except for in the high-tech area. Okay, estimates. Okay, so there were 20 million yen. Okay, government estimates about 20 million yen gold in the hands of the public. So 20 million yen of gold. So that's the various denominations. And legal tender. So we go to the next page. Gold coins are frequently refused in the interior. So the smallest coin that was issued in Japan in gold was the 1 yen, and that, so here is the 1 yen coin, which I don't have, and as you can see it's got 1.67 grams of gold. Even though there is a run up in gold, it's worth about $300. Probably earlier this year it was worth $150, so about half that. Mintage is actually quite low, so those would not have been as common. If we look at the other gold coins, so we need to get, so we have the 2 yen, so 2 yen, and we have the 5 yen, the small type. And when they revalued and went on the gold standard, the actual gold coin had half the weight of the previous series. So pretty much this 5 yen became the 10 yen, because the 10 yen had the same 8.33 grams of 90% gold, and the 10 yen became 20 yen, and the 20 yen would have become 40 yen, but they didn't issue that, so that just pretty much dropped out. If you look at the mintage figures for these, they're quite small, so the 2 yen pretty much non-existent. 5 yen, yeah, pretty substantial, so this would have been used in high level trade, probably for rich people, but $1,500. Yeah, I would say majority of the population at the time probably earned less than $500 per year. Definitely living in poverty. It wasn't a first world country at the time, just like any other country. Okay, now the mintage figures for the previous coins we are looking at. So if we look at the other thing we're looking at too is that the new coins as well as notes. Okay, the silver 50 sen piece was not commonly seen in circulation, so despite the high mintage of the silver 50 sen, they would just either hoarded or they were probably siphoned out via international trade. And so they were hoarding wealth. It's probably because of uncertainty at the time. Okay, so the new coins as well as the notes bear the speculative inscription in English, and 1 yen a par was almost exactly 2 shillings and about 50 American cents. Okay, so that's the exchange rate he's put on there. Okay, so, and then he's got other information. Then he goes into the older coins, which we won't worry about. And if you want to know, the old 1 mon coin was equivalent to 1 ren, and the 100 mon was equivalent to 96 sen. So you got other information. So that's interesting, and it talks about the paper banknotes I had before the introduction of the yen, which is quite interesting. So if we look at the mintage figures of look at the 2 sen, we can see that there's quite a lot of coins, and this was replicated through all the bronze coinage. So there's a huge amount of coins. I think the population is about 35-40 million at the time. So really this all builds up, and if most of the coins being used because of the poverty, so people couldn't actually keep these coins, they would have had to spend them to not starve to death. We can see that something happened in 1892, although at that time period there was a 8-year grace, so they never minted any coins. And 1892 generally is minted for some convention. So World Columbian Exhibition in Chicago, so that's what that was minted for. And they'll probably given away to their friends and relatives. That's what they done, minting coins at the time. They gave them away to special guests, politicians, business people for free, and then they would have actually gone on to sell them off. So pretty much the highest coin that was in circulation at the time was this 20 sen that you see here, because as we just seen, the 50 sen was no longer in circulation. 1 yen was demonetized, and this had a metal value of about $9. So this one's about $4.50, and these are the only 2 silver coins in circulation. Then you got the gold, but the gold would not have been used by the average person because of the high value. Okay, so because they wanted to introduce, so the 1 ring taken out, the 2 cents taken out, then we just got these, that one's taken out. So what they done, they wanted to get rid of the connection to China, so they kept this side pretty similar. They removed the reference to being 100 to 1 yen, so there's no need for that really. And they removed the dragon and they replaced it with a sun. So this is radiant sun, and this is what you see on the Japanese war flag. And they also, so the only 20 sen I have is actually the radiant sun version, so that's 20 sen. As you can see, they've kept English. The 10 sen they also replaced with the radiant sun. Now, those 2 coins were replaced starting in 1907. So pretty much they did mint the dragon on the 20 and the 10 cent coin up until 1906. So this one here is dated 21, so that's 1888. So this is still in circulation. And the 5 sen, they actually changed the design because of the increase in counterfeiting. Instead of having the imperial crest, they put the radiant sun. So the mintage for this first coin, the lowest is 1895 with 1 million. So most of them are over that. And this one, oops, don't drop your coins like that, is 23. So this one is mintage 39 million, so it's a pretty common coin. Now this coin here, 5 sen, as you can see they've kept the English on the coin. It is 4.67 grams, 20 millimeters in diameter. And on this side we just have the denomination. So it's a similar, pretty much the same style as the 1 sen coin. And basically they kept the style for also the other denominations. And this coin is pretty common, but you're going to be paying still at least $10 per coin. And 34, so there's a mintage of 7.1 million. And the lowest you're going to get is year 36 or 1903 with 372,000. Should be pretty hard, and that would actually have a high value as well. So that's the base metal coins. Now this half cent they kept in circulation. 1 ren probably also circulated, probably in poorer provinces, but these would have slowly been either heavily worn or just fallen out of circulation. Now another thing that they did was they introduced a new 50 cent coin. So despite the high mintage of this coin in the 1890s to 1905, they were just pretty much withdrawn from circulation for some reason. So probably also because the silver value had gone over the face value. If that's the case, people take them out, melt them down, sell them for whatever the silver value is, so you get more money. Like if you're getting 55 cent, there's 5 cent more. Or they were just taken out overseas, so that's pretty normal. Merchants take these overseas and sell them as part of their profit. So they reduced the size of the coin from 30.5 millimeters to 27.27 millimeters in diameter, and the weight from 13.48 grams to 10.13, but it's still 80% silver. And they changed the design also to the radiant sun, and on the other side we just have the denomination. So they kept this side the same design, but they just removed the dragon on the coin. So this coin has quite a substantial mintage. So the coin I have is Meiji 43, and that comes to a date of 1910 with 15.3 million. So the lowest mintage you're going to get is 1912 or year 45 with 3.67 million, and that's shared with the Taisho. So he took over in 1912, but his coins only have 1.9, bit over 1.9 million. That seems to be one of the lowest, and this coin actually stopped being issued in 1917 because in 1917 the First World War was raging. Although Japan was making a lot of profit, the actual currency was slipping, and also metals had increased in value, so that would actually drive up silver prices if things are more in demand and they become more restricted. So basically they had to reduce the silver content of these coins again. So I hope this helps you with your Japanese coins. So if you wanted to buy one of these, you could be purchase this one for about $20. That's probably the cheapest you're going to get one of those, 50 cents. These ones you'll be paying at least $10 to $20 for. Now this 1 cent coin pick up for about $5 to $10, and these 5 cent coin probably at least 10 to 20. So they're not a cheap coin series to get, but they're a fun series to try and chase up. So I hope this helps you with your Japanese coin collecting. Let me know what you think of these coins. Have an awesome coin and banknote collecting time.